Thank you for joining us. I'm really glad you tuned in today. Today's topic is critical and potentially life saving. That being said, I want you all to be aware that today's episode talks about deadly and dangerous social media challenges as well as accidental death. If you have smaller ears around you, it may be an episode you want to save until later or perhaps listen with earbuds. Welcome to the Healthy Screen Habits Podcast. I'm Hillary Wilkinson. Whether you're starting your parenting journey with a newborn or looking to connect with your teen on technology, let's learn some new healthy screen habits together. The beginning of the school year seems to bring with it an upswing in social media challenges. And some of them seem to be silly pranks and just trying to get likes and followers, and others can have more serious consequences. And the latter is why it's important that we open conversation with our kids about social media challenges. When these challenges get completed without incident, they get posted online and they get a lot of attention. And those that cannot post their outcomes due to the challenge not going as planned need equal airtime. And that's why we're talking today. Often the full impact of the devastation of what happens gets overlooked. My guests today are Todd and Mia Miner, parents who have become a powerful force of awareness building and education on online challenges. The Miners' lives changed forever when Matthew, their 12-year-old son, died accidentally through participation in a social media challenge known as the Choking Challenge. They have a background of service and former military duty and have chosen to honor Matthew's life through educating others and creating the Matthew E. Miner Awareness Foundation and Scholarship Fund. Todd and Mia, thank you so much for being here today. I really want to honor Matthew's story and amplify your education efforts. But before we start, let me just acknowledge that we're currently recording in June, and a lot has happened in the past several days with the Surgeon General releasing a statement in the New York Times calling for the need of a Surgeon General warning on all social media platforms. This is analogous to the label that we see on tobacco products. And how does this resonate with you guys?
I think it's a good start to provide an awareness of the content that is advertised or being viewed. Social media is one of many concerns within the World Wide Web, and being that is the most popular amongst the adolescent and teenagers today, uh, and it's best to add measures that will be safe and go safeguard our children. Add measures such as um, the warning labels for social media is a good start.
Yeah, and I mean, as I kind of read the op-ed article, I thought that when I was thinking about this, because we've actually talked about this before, planes and cars and everything else has regulations and warning labels. And even the Surgeon General I mentioned as far as tobacco having warning labels, which actually over time has saved lives and actually decreased the use of cigarettes over the years. So I think it's a great tool to bring awareness. It's just like the warning labels that they have for video games and movies and things like that. So the parents can make a more informed decision before they let their children take a look at everything. And I think also it's just doing what we do for everything else here in America. Everything else, you got the FDA and other regulating bodies. Social media should be regulated just like everything else here in America.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. So, guys, let's start with your family. You have two sons. Your oldest, TJ, attends college in New York City.
Yes.
And Matthew, your younger son, is why we're here today. And can you
Yes.
tell us about Matthew? What kind of child he was?
Matthew was fun, loving. He was a happy child, loved sports, loved being outside. He liked going to church and going to
He liked to
children's
pray.
church. And one of the things he loved to do for family gatherings, he liked to pray. And he would hit the prayer off, and everybody loves his prayer because sometimes he'll be long winded, and then sometimes he'll be short and sweet.
Yeah.
Um, but then he was very protective over those who was his friends.
One thing I remember about Matthew is just that he had a he just had an award-winning smile and personality. I mean, he just like lit up the room. I think as we've been going around and speaking and just talking with other families and parents and stuff, everybody says that. Wow, what a smile! I mean, and it was just like you see in that picture. That's how he was. That was his personality. Another thing I remember is when I have bad days at work and stuff like that. You just have some of those days like that. He'd come up and I'm sitting there looking at numbers, whether it's the family numbers or something for work or whatever. And he put his arm around me and say, Dad, I know you're working hard, but it's gonna be okay. And I was just like, man, this young man is wise above, beyond his years, and he took up for those that couldn't defend themselves, even if they were physically bullied at school. He stood up for them, and we, the teachers would call and tell us what happened and everything. But most of the time, Matthew didn't get in trouble because the other kids shouldn't have been trying to pick on the other kid that Matthew was trying to protect.
Well,
Matthew, yeah, I
I was
mean,
going to say that's a testament to you guys as well. It's a
uh,
Mhm.
testament to how you live your life and show up for your community.
yeah,
Yes,
thank you
and
so
thank
much.
you.
And he was I share this all the time, but he was considered the ambassador of Akakit Academy here in Maryland, where he went to school. He took all the kids around to show them where the new lockers were going to be, especially the new kids, and he'd show them where their teachers, where homeroom and everything was, and stuff like that. For his short time here on Earth, he made such a huge impact.
Yeah, I get that. I get that ambassador title. He sounds like he had great leadership, you
Mhm.
know?
Yes, yes, very
Yeah,
charismatic, very,
yeah. So, swinging it around to the social media challenges, it's kind of interesting because they got their start in this non-threatening way. Like the first one I was aware of was the ice bucket challenge back in, I think it was like
yeah.
2014 for funding ALS research. And were you guys even aware of social media challenges prior to Matthew's accident?
No, ma'am.
No, I think I kind of remember seeing the bucket challenge on, maybe it was Facebook. I think I saw it every so often, and then they had another game that was going around. There wasn't a lot of video of, well, sometimes it was, but here in DC they had people that were going around actually knocking people out, like punching them and knocking them out, and like physical, like punch knockout people waiting at bus stops and stuff like that.
Sir.
But they reported that on the news, and so then whenever we were out on the metro or whatever, I always kind of kept myself a little more vigilant if I saw somebody kind of coming up, kind of kind of weird, like maybe they
Sure.
were gonna haul off and kind of hit us. But yeah, I think those were the only two things, but it rose so high to the level that it was on the news, and that's how we and I think Mia
There
had
was
remembered
a
about a Momo
Momo challenge.
challenge, but again, that was on the
That was
news.
I remember that one
We Yeah,
too.
we didn't see it on know of it on Facebook
right.
or anywhere else. So,
Yeah. 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 But
yes,
even just when you're talking about being around in town and being just vigilant, I mean, it speaks to your level of awareness of what's going on around you. And I think that is important for everyone to recognize that despite how vigilant you can be in
yeah,
your physical environment, the online environment is still right there as well. So,
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean it's I mean you kind of hit on something that I don't share all the time. Sometimes it comes up that I'm an IT professional, which I have a master's in IT and I worked in IT for many years. That's why we had time limits and different things in place, what we thought was protections. But also, for my government job, I'm trained in actual security, physical security,
mm,
door locks, cameras, keeping people safe, knowing how to respond if somebody gets stuck in elevators, and all those things that would happen in an office building or any type of facility. So security, like you said, that was kind of the bedrock, coupled with my military experience and training, coupled with that, we were always vigilant, and at least we thought we were.
yep, yep, yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about Matthew and how he continues to be an ambassador and how his 12 short years have really left lasting impact. Did you know that Healthy Screen Habits does workshops? For 2 days, we can come and guide students through an exploration of their own tech use and facilitate a research based presentation bespoke to their own questions. 87.5% of the teens who participated in this workshop recorded a change in their tech use following participation. For more information, contact us at info@healthyscreenhabits.org. My guests today are Todd and Mia Miner, who've been a fixture on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. and Annapolis, Maryland, advocating for online child legislation at state and federal levels. They were featured in the ABC News Live special, Generation Swipe, and have done nearly 30 national and international interviews and news pieces. I'm really grateful you guys are here today. And you did everything right. You had rules about the internet. You were involved and supportive. You have a knowledge background that supersedes most on internet connectivity. And still, the unthinkable happened under your roof in your home. I hate to ask you to do this one more time, but could you walk us through the evening of March 7th, 2019?
Mm.
Okay, I'll do it. Me is it's emotional when we share. In 2019, after having dinner, we had a nice evening, day, everything with Matthew. Mia fixed dinner. We ate dinner. Um, After we got done, Matthew asked if he could go upstairs for an hour of internet. And right before that time, before we said yes, Mia went and looked at his grades, because we base their internet access based on how they're doing in school. And Mia checked that and everything looked good. So we said, okay, well, you can go up for an hour. And I mean, we didn't, 1 hour, we thought what could happen. Right after we finished dinner, TJ went to go work out. Actually, I think it was before we finished dinner. So he took his food to go with, ate it on the way. And so about 40 minutes later, after he got done lifting weights and stuff, he comes back home, and he goes upstairs, and he says, come upstairs, run upstairs quick. There's something wrong with Matthew. And we're like, what? I mean, I mean, it just didn't even sound right. So, we're trying to figure out what's going on. We thought maybe he had a cold, or he just wasn't feeling well or something. So we rush upstairs just to see what's going on. And but from the tone of TJ's voice, we knew it was something, it was more serious at least. So we go upstairs, and Matthew had something around his neck, and we were trying to figure that out. But in the same boat, we were like, hey, we're gonna, let's, because he was up. So we said, we'll just lay him down. We got that from around his neck. And I was looking at him. I was doing some assessments because I was trained in the military in CPR, and so I'm looking at him. I put my ear to his mouth and everything. I thought I was still hearing a little bit of breathing. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to start CPR. I said, Mia, call
911.
911. Yeah. And Mia was on the phone with 911. I started compressions and everything. During that whole time, I think we both were asking ourselves, God, why is this happening to us? Why, what is it? What is happening? Why is it happening? How did it happen? So all these things are racing through your head. And then also the other thing is don't take my child. Don't take my child, take me instead, And um, so we go through all, everything we could to try to resuscitate him, keep him alive. So we thought and everything. And then the emergency personnel came and got Matthew, and we followed behind. Me, I think Mia, you rode in the ambulance,
Ambulance.
and I followed behind in one of the family vehicles. And so we get to the hospital. We talked to minister, they had ministerial staff that was there, and then and said some prayers, which was good because we do pray. And but then the detective comes in and talks with us and asks, the questions. Was Matthew upset? Was he sad? Those kind of things. Did he, was he upset about something at school? And not that we knew of. And then it was really good that we have a security system that has kind of a family cam. So we were able to share that with the detective and show him kind of
That we
what,
had dinner.
yeah, that we had dinner. Matthew went upstairs and we were sitting downstairs the whole time, and he could see on the video us running upstairs. He could hear TJ yell down, and then we went upstairs and everything. So that took us from any foul play, anything that any of us did kind of situation. But then after that, I think later on, he during that same time he talked to us, he asked if he could go. Well, TJ stayed here at the house. He didn't go to the hospital with us. And he asked if he could go back to the house, and did we give permission for him to talk to TJ because he was still underage at that time. And so we said, yes, sir, you can talk with him. And I think he took my phone and looked at that and stuff, but he came back and looked at Matthew's devices while we were still at the hospital. So um, around 2:30, I think it was about 2:30 that morning, they told us that Matthew had unfortunately passed away. And I got to tell you, I mean, we were sitting there just trying to figure out what. Yeah, it was just, we were like, how could this happen? What caused this? I mean, we were just totally unaware, to be honest. And detective came back and said he looked at the devices, and we said, well, what was he doing and stuff? And he said, well, I saw he had YouTube open, and I saw that he had opened TikTok. And I said, well, okay, what's up with TikTok? I said, I don't really know anything about TikTok. I mean, I knew it was a social media app, but I didn't know we didn't know he had an account or had access to it because we didn't give it to him. We didn't open an account on his behalf. So, but he said, yeah, they have all these things that come up, and you can just, he said, you'll just get lost in scrolling. You'll just scroll, and that kind of thing. But then he said, but there is something that he had heard that was going around called the blackout challenge or choking challenge or knockout challenge, where they're knocking themselves out and that kind of stuff. I guess they keep changing the names and stuff. And we said, what's that? And so we that was our first introduction, knockout challenge, choking challenge. And then when they told us Matthew passed, of course, that was really rough because everything, it seems like it's moving in slow motion. It's kind of hard, and then the hallway where we had to go to unfortunately identify him, we were like, wow, he was just in our house. You mean to tell me I got to identify my child that just came from my house? And we've been there the whole time. But I guess it's something legally we had to do. And so when we got in there, I mean, he just looked like he was sleeping. I mean, he didn't. I think that's the thing that I can. I don't think any of us can. Either one of us can ever take away out of our mind is. I mean, he just looked like he was
Yeah.
sleeping. So fast forward a little bit to we're making final arrangements for Matthew, and then uh, we were getting I think we decided to do a tribute and then also the funeral. We did the tribute for those that were Matthew's age and younger that Matthew knew, because
Mm,
they the school system and kind of the PTA, they said that they thought it would be better for us to have a tribute, and we'll have
mm,
the funeral separate for the adults. And
mm.
so we had the tribute, and it was led by our pastors and everything. But during which the pastors asked if the kids knew about these challenges, and or said, hey, you're
Mhm.
probably participating in these challenges, you know of these challenges. And you could see the young people shaking their heads. They were like, yeah. And so that was part of the tribute. But later on, I went to talk to some of the kids because I was trying to find out more, because that's like, what is this
Right.
blackout challenge, choking challenge? Because I just never heard of it. And you could see the kids looking around, just trying to make sure nobody was looking at them. They felt like maybe they were telling on others because I think some of them connected while the other ones did the challenge. I think it
Mhm.
was that type of thing. So it's kind of, they were online, and some people would do the challenge, and the other people would other young people would connect and like witness it or participate. And so you could see they didn't want to be considered snitches or telling on
Sure.
each other. So that's when, at least in my mind, I was like, man, this is bigger than we thought. At first, we thought it was an isolated incident, or maybe just Matthew and maybe one or two other friends. But I mean, pretty much his whole class. I mean, really, the whole school was there at the tribute. So I was like, if all his school is affected, how many other kids are affected that aren't here or that we're not able to see or have access to?
Yeah.
So after the tribute, um, community members, our pastors, and even visiting pastors and reverends from other churches and stuff like that, they were like, "You guys should do something about this," and we were like, "Us? I mean, we just lost
Yeah,
our
I
son.
was
Why?
gonna say,
Why?
yeah.
Why is that our?" Why is that in our arena to do? But we also had a lot of donations and
Donations.
financial donations, and we used that those love offerings and donations to start the Matthew E. Minor Awareness Foundation. So we did heed and listen. We took everything in, and we didn't see anywhere in our community, local community, that where somebody was bringing awareness to social media challenges. So we took that upon ourselves to honor Matthew
Well, you
and do that.
certainly have. Your guys' reach has been very far, all the way across the country.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
Thank,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think it speaks to the spirit of Matthew that your reach has been that far.
thank
I
you.
really do. I really do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think with everything we're doing, every time we go to speak or things that we do, everybody may not see it, but most of the time we kind of touch we have a
But
pin, a button on our shirt, usually with Matthew, or I'll just touch here somewhere on our one of our foundation shirts, just like, it's for you, Matthew, for you, just to, because that's the driving force. And we just don't want this to happen to other families and parents to go through.
You talked about spending time with Matthew's classmates and other kids who definitely it, you were kind of reading their body language, and they
Oh yeah.
definitely knew about this choking challenge. And when you have seen other videos like that, does it look dangerous? Like, I mean, would kids be able to look at this and see that this is a very dangerous thing?
I've actually gone on and just looked because I wanted to see what this is. And And a lot of times it's got like a lot of laughter and, oh, it's funny. They don't show you, they might show the child or young person or whoever's doing it kind of lay down, fall out, but then they don't, the video is not long,
Yeah.
so you don't see what the after effects are. So even if that child fell out, when they fell, did they hit their head and that caused additional injury, or was there injury because their airway was cut off or whatever? And then also they have some that look like cartoons. So it's like,
Oh, wow.
oh, oh, yeah, oh, and it just makes it look fun or something. And I'm like, I mean, if I wasn't an adult, I would think that that was okay. I
Sure.
would think it was just something to try. It's safe.
With the social media, or the just the having to do the likes. A lot of people do, or the children looks at the likes and trying to,
Attention,
the intention of building some type of rapport, not understanding
followers,
financial followers,
audience. Yeah.
and that's the audience, and this is what, but in not seeing the dangers of how it affects, the ramifications of how it affects
Yeah. The
the
permanent.
the permanent, and
Yeah.
what will happen to, their followers, and just themselves, of just keep, doing stuff like this. So, it's just very
Yeah,
dangerous.
and
And
you bring, and Mia brings up a great point. Yeah, I think even when we were reading the body language, it's a lot of peer pressure or
yeah,
peer. It's the same as what we would have in physical school, except it's coming out through the social media. So
Hmm.
they may have talked about it at school. Oh, hey, if you saw that, are, are you gonna do that, or are you chicken? A lot of them have some preface,
Right.
on why they're
yeah,
doing it, or maybe if I do this, I'll do this if I get a certain amount of likes, or it just has all this laughter like you have on comedy shows and stuff, all that background laughter.
yeah,
So, a kid just looking at it, it just, it brings all your defenses down.
yeah,
Sure. Sure. And they don't see the ones that don't go that way.
right,
Right.
right,
So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't see the dangers.
Right. So in January of this year, you guys were among the parents who attended the Senate hearings that included the 5 CEOs of top social media companies. You guys were in the crowd that Mark Zuckerberg famously turned around to, and I think did a not so great job of
Yeah.
apologizing.
Yeah.
But my question is this: do you believe that social media and the persuasive design with autoplay, the algorithms push that you were just talking about, do you think that the social media platforms have a responsibility to protect children?
Yeah, we both do. And if I could give kind of a point of view, reason, not just from the loss of Matthew, but with my military experience, IT experience, and then also my actual additional security experience. I was trained in that by the federal government, and I look at it as it's almost like a online attack. If you have an online attack on your network, they bombard it. It's just try to overload your network, and then hopefully based on that, that hopefully it would gain access or be able to do what they want to do. And I think that's what this algorithm does. It just bombards the kids, and I do believe that they have a responsibility, because with talking with all the whistleblowers and everything that we've seen and talked to just and met with, they said that they know that that is exactly what's going on. They
Mhm.
it's just hitting the kid.
You've got a platform here of our listeners. What would you like to see happen? What can we do?
Well, we, as the first thing we can do is all parents and individuals that care about our young
yeah,
people can contact our elected officials. We
Mhm.
need to let them know that we need online child safety legislation passed. We need and we need it passed now. I mean, COSA is has the support. It has the sponsors, everything. We just need the elected officials to take it to a floor vote and vote it through and pass it. And then after that, then it'll be a regulating process. You know, it will hopefully have a regulating body, or some part of the government will regulate it. And then we'll be able to regulate them and kind of be able to make sure that they're doing what they are supposed to do to keep kids safe. Second, we can also just participate in all the efforts. We got grassroots efforts, you know, like, I mean, we're a smaller foundation, Matthew E. Minor Awareness Foundation, but we can also participate with Parents SOS. Parents SOS is, if you think about it, Parents SOS, when I was in the military, if you send the SOS signal out, that means I need help, and send what you got. Send what you got to help and rescue me. We're members and part of Parents SOS because we're trying to send that signal out to all parents and all family and all our citizens that this needs to be passed and we need to keep kids safe. Any way we can get the awareness out, because one thing I've noticed is after we've talked to a parent or given them our card, then after that, it's like they're armed. At least they know to look for it. And that was where I think for us, even with all the protections and everything we thought we were doing right, we just didn't have the awareness that we have now.
We have to take a short break, but when we come back, I am going to ask Todd and Mia Minor for their healthy screen habit. Did you know anyone in a U.S. state, territory, or tribe who needs suicide or mental health related crisis support, or who has a loved one in crisis, can connect with a trained counselor by calling or texting 988. 988 is the easy to remember number that reaches what is commonly referred to as the Lifeline, a network of more than 200 state and local call centers funded by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Formerly known as the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the full name has changed to the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. 988. It's the 911 for mental health. My guests today are Todd and Mia Minor, the parents of Matthew Minor, who is forever 12 after participating on the online deadly choking challenge he saw. On every episode of the podcast, I ask for a healthy screen habit. And this is a tip or takeaway that listeners can put into practice in their own home. It's hard to ask you for something for help. I feel like you've given us so much good advice just on how we can band together and become an army of parents who are seeking to protect our kids. But I'm wondering, do you have a healthy screen habit to share with us today?
Yeah, we have one tip, and I think it's a really good tip. We always had family time where we would watch a show together, and then afterwards we would talk with our children and say, "Hey, what did you learn?" All of us would go around and give kind of a input, you know, give our ideas and comments on what we learned from the show. You know, family is your strength. You know, I think as you're going through life and you're going through all the challenges and everything, what are you doing it for? But I think thinking of family is what keeps you going and doing what's right in the world, you know?
Yeah, I love all of that. Yeah. As always, a transcript of this episode plus links to the Matthew E. Minor Awareness Foundation, which includes a link to the Memorial Scholarship Fund, will be posted on this episode's show notes. Todd, Mia, thank you so much for sharing your story of your amazing family and your tireless advocacy. I have no doubt you are saving lives with the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Hillary. It was really good sharing and talking with you tonight.
For more information, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Healthy Screen Habits. Make sure to visit our website, healthyscreenhabits.org, where you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or via RSS, so you'll never miss an episode. It's free, it's fun, and you get a healthy new screen habit each week. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you giving us a quick rating. It really does help other people find us and spread the word of healthy screen habits. Or if you'd simply like to tell a friend, we'd love that too. I so appreciate you spending your time with me this week, and I look forward to learning more healthy habits together.